Computer, set volume. Adjusting resolution. Engage. Hello BookTube. This is Time Lapse Book Reviews. My name is Albert, and for today on Christmas Eve, I bring to you Making It So, the memoir by Sir Patrick Stewart. Right off the bat, a lot of you probably recognize the play on words with the title Making It So, because that was Patrick Stewart's famous line, "Make it so," on Star Trek The Next Generation. I gotta tell you, I never saw a single episode of Star Trek until I was in my 20s. I never saw a single Star Trek movie either. But ever since I was a kid, I always loved the X-Men. And Sir Patrick Stewart here brought Professor Charles Xavier to life on the big screen, which thus, in hindsight, launched the superhero phenomenon we have today. So to me, with all due respect to Star Trek, which I do love, this man will always be first and foremost Professor Charles Xavier. And, reading this book, I really didn't realize how much I was unaware of Patrick's life and career. You think about it, I'm in my mid-30s now. I'm only aware of the last 30 years of his career and his life. He's been around for decades before that on the stage in England, the stage in the U.S., and then on screen. There's a lot I didn't know, and it was an interesting read. Check this out. This is pretty thick for a memoir. So the guy must have had one hell of a career and a life, and he tells it so eloquently too. This is also the first book where not only do I own a physical copy, I also own the audiobook as well. And I can tell you, of the two of them, I couldn't recommend the audiobook even more. Because, first of all, Sir Patrick Stewart himself narrates it. And when he reads it, it brings such life to words on the page. You're reading the page, and you read the story, okay, that's nice. But when he reads it out loud, he gives a whole performance, a little emphasis on different emotions and different stories that he experienced throughout his life. Also, on a funny note, in the beginning of the book, he talks about Yorkshire, England, and he shares with us some slang, a little vernacular from where he's from. I can tell you, reading the page, I'm looking at these words, it didn't even look like English to me. I couldn't even try pronouncing it if I tried my hardest. Luckily, I had the audiobook to fall back on, and I could listen to Patrick himself say these words aloud. One aspect of Charles, I called him Charles already. One aspect of Patrick's life that I was unaware of was his father. His father was a very proud military man. He served with honor, highly decorated, highly respected. And coming back to civilian life, he was kind of just an average Joe. And it was kind of hard on the man. He was a very complex character. It was, as Patrick himself said, he was a weekend alcoholic, became very abusive. There's an interesting dynamic to this man. He was very supportive of his son's pursuit in the arts. When Patrick was in high school, he was offered a chance by an English teacher to join this children's program. I guess it was subsidized in a way because he didn't have to pay for it. When Patrick's father heard his son wanted to pursue the arts, he seemed elated. And especially he didn't have to pay for it. He was even more elated. And that was kind of a contradiction. Normally you hear about the hard-ass father, doesn't support the kid in the arts. But it was quite the opposite, too. The father was really thrilled. I must admit one thing. I did speed through much of this book. And it's no knock on the book whatsoever. Because Patrick, like I said, he talks about his time being in school in the 1950s, and then his professional career kicking off in the 60s. He's on the stage in London. He talks about different British actors that he met along the way who were very prominent. Here's the thing. I have no idea who any of these people are whatsoever. Even some of the shows they were in, they were British TV shows. I had no way of knowing what any of these were. So I did find myself speed reading. But like I said, that's no knock on the book whatsoever. If you're familiar with this time period and these shows and these people, you're going to have a ball reading it. And the story really picked up later on for me as we got Patrick was in his late 20s. You started to hear some familiar names enter the picture, like his good friend Ben Kingsley, a big-time actor, and also Ian Holm. He was an Alien, Bilbo Baggins in Lord of the Rings. When you get to later on in his 20s and his movie career starts, that's when the reading really picks up again, because people my generation at least are a little more familiar with this time of his life. I know I did say I prefer the audiobooks much better, but I am very happy I do own a physical copy of the book, because these pictures alone. I'll show you a couple of them. Like young Patrick with his brother, his mother down there, his early years in his like 1940s and 50s England. And then later on, his professional career on stage. The man right there. Check that out. Professor X-rated right there. And I'll leave it there, folks. If you're a fan of the man Patrick Stewart, you're gonna love this read. He's such a delight in real life when you see him in interviews, and that really translates to the book as well. So you're gonna love it. And with that, folks, I wish you all a happy Christmas Eve, a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, whichever holiday you celebrate. I hope you all enjoy your day. And I'll leave this video off with my selection for next week. You might have seen in a recent book haul I did, I said I was on a Japanese kick. I got a lot of books by Japanese authors, so I thought I'd get that started and finally pick one. So the one I'll be starting off reading next week, on next Sunday, I picked the one, All the Lovers in the Night by Miko Kawakami. I gotta be honest, I picked it up. I really don't know anything about this, so I hope it's good. We'll find out in a week. See you guys. Have a good one.